Welcome to Microsoft Excel. Excel is a very robust program and can require advanced skills to understand and apply some of its functionalities. However, we will only be covering the basic skills needed to perform most basic job functions in this tutorial. When you first open Excel, you are given a blank workbook template as well as some specific pre-made templates. You can choose any template, but more often than not, you are going to be using the blank workbook as we will now. When you open the blank workbook, you are presented with a blank grid with a ribbon and a formula bar above it. Although the ribbon in Excel has some similarities to the ribbons found in Word and PowerPoint, the ribbon in Excel also has a lot of differences. Like most Microsoft programs, Excel has 9 tabs on its ribbon, and each tab is divided into sections to make finding elements easier. For basic uses, the most commonly used tabs on the Excel ribbon are File, Home, Insert, and Formulas. The Page Layout tab is sometimes used when the workbook is intended to be printed or to change the view of the sheet. Also, the Data tab is used often for more advanced functions that utilize data analysis tools. Under the File tab, you will see a drop-down menu with a new window that provides options for working with Excel and spreadsheets. In this section, you can open workbooks, save workbooks, print or share workbooks, and find information about the workbook and program. The Home tab is the default tab and is the tab that will be highlighted when you first open Excel. The Home tab includes 7 sections. In these sections, you can access basic Microsoft Office functions like formatting font, aligning text, and cutting and pasting. Also, the Home tab provides access to functions specific to Excel like number formatting and cell formatting and editing. The Insert tab allows you to add a variety of valuable information to allow you to better present data. Under this tab, you can add illustrations, tables and charts, sparklines, which are condensed charts, text fields, and symbols. The Formulas tab allows you to insert various formulas needed to calculate particular functions. Although the AutoSum is perhaps the most frequently used formula, Excel includes formulas for nearly every function from averages to if-then statements. The formula bar is found below the ribbon and reflects the formula of a selected cell. Also, the formula bar can be used for inserting and editing formulas. The spreadsheet or grid in Excel is bound by columns named by letters in the alphabet and rows named by numbers. The cells created by the intersection of the columns and rows are named by the intersecting column and row, with the letter coming first and number second. For example, B3. You can select a row or column by clicking on the letter or number of the column or row. You can select a cell by navigating to it using the arrow keys, Enter key, Tab key, or by clicking on it. You can also add sheets to the workbook with the tabs below the spreadsheet, just like you can add paper to a notebook. Now that we have covered the basic layout of Excel, we will begin with creating a workbook. First, we are going to enter some fictitious data into the displayed spreadsheet. We start by clicking in cell A1 and start typing our data. This data will have titles, and the titles will go across the top row. We will input sport, males, and females for our titles of the columns. For the row titles, we will input football, basketball, soccer, and baseball. Then we will input the numbers that correspond with each cell. For footballs and males, we will have 223. For football and females, we have 38. For basketball and males, we have 200. For basketball and females, we have 180. For soccer and males, we have 86. For soccer and females, we have 105. For baseball in males, we have 83, and for baseball in females, we have 42. If we want, we can add a total row and column by inputting total at the ends of the table. Also, we can find the sum of a row or column by clicking on AutoSum on the Home or Formulas tab. So for the sum of football males and females, we would click in cell D2 and click AutoSum. Now Excel sees that we want to add the males and females for football by highlighting those two cells, so we just need to press enter and Excel will do the math for us. Now when we want to repeat a function for multiple cells, we can right click and copy the cell, and then we can click and drag all the cells that we want to have the same formula for, and then we can right click again and we can go to our paste options and paste the formula. And if we click that, it will add all the cells for males and females for each sport. Now we can do the same for adding the columns. So we want to add all the males, so we highlight cell B6, and once again we click on AutoSum, and it sees that we want to add all the males, so we just press enter and Excel does the math for us. And then we can do the same thing for females by clicking in C6, clicking on AutoSum, and enter. Now we have the totals for all our rows and columns. Finally, we are going to copy and paste our data in the same spreadsheet to use for later. So I will start in cell A1, click, and drag to cell D6 so that I am highlighting all my active cells. Now I can either right click and copy, or I can go to Home and go to my clipboard and copy, and then I will go to cell A11 and paste it. Now we are going to go back to our first set of data, and we can format the first set of data to make the data easier to view. So what we are going to do, we are going to center and bold the title row by clicking on the row number corresponding to the titles, row number 1, and go to our font tools under the Home tab and bold it and center it so that we can see those are our titles. Then we can add borders to the cells to make it appear the data is in a table. We can do this by once again highlighting all our active cells for our first set of data, and either go to the font section below the Home tab where there is a small grid that looks like a window and click on the down arrow and add borders, or we can go to the cells section and click on format and then go to the bottom and format the cells and go to the borders. Now in this case it is much easier just to go to the font section and click on the small grid, and we are going to add all borders. Finally, we can organize the data visually by sorting the data alphabetically by using the sort tool on the Home or Data tab after we highlight the data we wish to sort alphabetically. Now since we are already on the Home tab, it is easiest to go to the editing section, click on sort and filter, and sort the data A to Z. Now we have all the data in order from A to Z. We can also apply conditional formatting to the cells to quickly identify cells with certain conditions. So in this case, if I highlight the data, I can go to conditional formatting underneath the Home tab and create highlight rules. So in this case, I'm going to create a less than rule, and I want to be able to identify all the cells less than 100. So I type in 100 and click OK. Now when I click off the table, I can quickly identify exactly what cells have less than 100 participants. Next, we can turn to our second set of data. We can simply highlight the data by clicking in the first cell and dragging to the last cell. We can turn this data into a table or pivot table. Pivot tables are useful for large amounts of data that needs to be consolidated and/or queried. So we will use a regular table by going to the Insert tab and clicking on Table. A window pops open with the data highlighted, and we check that we do have headers. Then we click OK. Excel then places the data in a table, which makes it easy to style the table and filter data alphabetically or by number. We can do this by clicking at the top of the table in the headings and clicking the down arrows. And that allows us to sort data from A to Z, or we can also sort the data based on the size of the numbers. So we can do largest to smallest or smallest to largest. After inserting the table, we can highlight the data we want for creating a chart, not including the total row because we do not want a total category on the chart. Then we click on the Insert tab and on Recommended Charts. This means Excel will choose and create a chart that is appropriate for the data. Once the chart is created, the title can be changed by double-clicking on it. So we will highlight the title and name it Participants in Sports. Also, on the Chart Tools Design tab, the design of the chart can be changed and the chart can be moved to another sheet by clicking on Move Chart at the end of the ribbon. We can click on that. After we click on that, we can move the chart to a new sheet by clicking on New Sheet. And we can also name that sheet. So we will name it Chart. And click OK. And now we have a new sheet with a chart. Now that we are done with all the data, we can put the finishing touches on the workbook. We can rename each sheet by right-clicking on the Sheet tab at the bottom and clicking on Rename. So I will click on Sheet 1, right-click on it, and rename it. And I am going to name this one Tables. Next, we can add a header and/or footer by clicking on the Page Setup category under the Page Layout tab. When the Page Setup category is expanded, a new window pops open and we have more tabs where we can click on Header Footer and we can add a custom header or one that is pre-made. In this case, we are going to leave the header alone. We can also do the same with the footer. We can add a custom footer or one that is already made for us. And we will call the footer page 1 of however many sheets there are. Now we click on OK, and the window closes. Also on the Page Layout tab, we can select whether or not we want to print grid lines underneath the Sheet Options category. Right now, it is not going to print the grid lines. So if I check mark Print, when I print the workbook, it will print with the grid lines. Finally, we go to the File tab to save and print the workbook. In this case, I will save the workbook to my desktop and call it Excel Intro. And then I click on Save. And the workbook is all finished. And that is Microsoft Excel. Thank you.